Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be how to turn around a failing relationship. Well, I got an email. This is from a guy that's brand new to my work. He's only been following me for about 5 days, but he's already been through 3% Man 3 times already. So I'm assuming probably what he's done is he's listened to the audiobook on 2 speed while he's following along in a digital and physical copy. So guys this is probably like 80-85% of the dudes that come to me are in this kind of a situation where their relationship is going sideways, or something's going sideways with a girl that they were dating or trying to date, and they're trying to turn it around. So what the book teaches them to do is what is attractive behavior and what's unattractive behavior, and what he needs to focus on to, in this case, recreate the conditions where she was as and becomes as attracted to him as she was in the beginning. Because what's going on now is he's displaying a lot of unattractive behavior, and I've gone through his email already, and it's pretty much just like most every guy that has problems in long-term relationships. He stopped dating and courting his girl properly. He didn't make her feel heard and understood, and on top of that, as he said, he started acting like a little bitch. So she lost respect for him and attraction. And the reality is, if a woman doesn't respect you, she cannot love you. So what I like about this email is because he's brand new and he's really taking control of his destiny. I mean, to read the book 3 times and 5 days, that's pretty impressive, because a lot of the guys that I talk to, they might have been following me for 3 or 4 years and they barely read the book twice. And so here this guy, and then they wonder why they're still struggling, whereas this guy is like 3 times in 5 days. So that's good. But it's the quicker you get through the 10 to 15, which would get you to the point where you know the information backwards and forwards, and then after that, most successful students will go through the book once or twice a year. So he says, "Hey, Corey, I found your work 5 days ago, so I'm really new. I've read the book 3 times so far. I've got lots of work still to do there, but not bad for 5 days." Yeah, that's impressive, dude. So that's a good start. So we want to build on that. "I've read many of your articles and watched many of your videos, and the reason I found your work and I'm writing now is because my long-term relationship is on the rocks. It's been that way off and on for a little over a year. So what that tells me is her attraction is going like this. It's up and down, up and down. And most guys don't understand what's going on. They just know it's a pretty bumpy ride and they don't like it. So let's see what we can do to work the kinks out of your bumpy ride in a fun way." Short backstory is that we met at work. We both work in sales. And when we first met, I was winding down an incredibly toxic 9-year relationship. About 6 months later, I had fully ended that relationship and moved into my own place. The girl I work with was 23 at the time, and I was 33. She's gorgeous, ambitious, caring, and super loyal, so of course I was really into her. We had tons of amazing sex that she was going on and on about. Within 6 months, we moved in together, and we probably moved in together too fast, but it was her idea, though. And I definitely wasn't ready to be in another serious relationship so soon. Yeah, I mean, it's 9 years. He was single for about 6 months, and then he started dating her. So within a year of the end of his 9-month relationship, now he's living with a new woman. So you got to take time to heal and get back to a happy place. And what happens a lot of times is people get into a relationship really quickly after, and they never take time to heal. And they often just replace one form of intimacy with another. But at the end of the day, they never got to a place where they were happy themselves first. Because the best thing to do is get to a happy place yourself, and then you can find somebody or attract somebody who's also happy. And then you can share your happiness and your completeness together, instead of, I'll be happy once I meet the right person. Because then what happens is eventually, 6 to 12 months later, after the infatuation is worn off and the honeymoon period is worn off, you're faced with the fact that you're still unhappy, and then you sabotage the relationship because you realize it's not making you happy anyways, so you stop dating and courting her properly, and then it just spirals out of control. He says, "I've never been with someone who's this into me, though, and she's said the same about me. She's incredibly communicative, caring, and loyal, which is awesome, And about a year ago or so, I started being a little bitch. So he stopped being the leader in the relationship, started being a follower. He probably started communicating that he was way more into her than she was into him. She probably backed off at times. He chased, he acted weak, he got upset, lost his center, became perturbed at her actions. And so her just being a woman was upsetting him all the time, which is incredibly unattractive. Because the idea is 95% of the time you want to be a charming James Bond, or 90% of the time charming James Bond, maybe 10% of the time kind of the naughty bad boy. He says, I put her on a pedestal and was complaining about the sex getting less frequent. Yeah, if you're complaining about getting not enough sex, then what that tells me as a coach is you don't understand how attraction works. And you're trying to have sex and seduce a woman when she's not open to it. When a woman feels heard and understood, the legs open. And when she doesn't, the legs close. She would try and help me and tell me that she needs to hang out more, talk more, and have more fun together to get in the mood. And she's basically saying, hey, babe, hang out, have fun, and hook up with me, which is right out of the book. So she sounds like a good woman because she's actually communicating it in a pretty good way of what she needs. I'm going to read that again. She would try and help me and tell me she needs to hang out more, talk more, and have more fun together to get in the mood. Because you have fun and then you get in the mood. Remember, the hookup comes at the end. And I would let it go in one ear and out the other, or improve, and then get complacent again. So remember, he said it had been kind of up and down, or the off and on type thing. Well, they weren't off and on, but it was like up and down. So in other words, he would improve. He would start displaying attractive behavior, start being the leader again, start hanging out, having fun, and then hooking up. So things got better. He would do it for a few weeks, and then he would go back to being lazy and complacent again. She would lose attraction, back away, and then the cycle would start all over again. He said things would improve, and then we'd be right back there again eventually. Then I had some setbacks at work, got depressed, and started being insecure and getting jealous like a little bitch. Then I found your book. I had stopped courting her and opening her up. It's just like the video newsletter from yesterday, which is interesting, is that guy, 5 years ago, he read my book 15 times, practiced it, got really good, met his girlfriend a year after he read my book 15 times. And for the last 4 years, he hasn't touched it. And he completely got away from the principles and the fundamentals and the book. And so she lost attraction. He's in the same boat as this guy. So he said I had stopped courting her and opening her up, and I had been letting her unbalance me. I was being a total little bitch. And we still had great sex at least once a week, even when I'm sure I had her turned off in all the ways. Well, that sounds like she's pretty easygoing, easy to get along with, because the one was a little more cranky, is just going to be shooting you down. So she's definitely trying to make it work, even though internally she's not feeling it. And good women will do that. And same thing, if you're a guy and you don't really feel like having sex, but you haven't given your girl a happy finish in a few days, it's, a few orgasms can go a long way to making things better in your relationship. The only thing I can think of for why she still tries to help me and hasn't dumped my ass yet is because she still loves me. Well, she sounds loyal. That's good. That's very rare. Character's destiny. I'm working the process now, and I see results already, but I know it will take months of consistency to make a real difference. I'm focused on my personal goals and just giving her time to miss me, letting her come to me. She still says she loves me first, and the vibe has improved in just 5 days. Yeah, what's improved is you're starting to display your most attractive side, which you've done in the past, but what's caused the problems is you've been displaying a lot of unattractive behavior, especially when you act, as you say, you act like a bitch. Because you're supposed to be more masculine than she is. And when you act like a bitch, or you act like a girl or effeminate, and she's a feminine woman, she's going to have feelings of you like platonic friendship instead of sex and romance and wanting to tear your clothes off. And so that's why when you act masculine, she feels safe to be feminine and let you take the lead. But if you try to make her the leader in the relationship, she's going to resent the hell out of it because you're basically acting her or causing her to act like a man. He says the hardest thing is not letting her get to me when she's at a 7 or 8 attraction level one day and a 5 the next, but I'm committed to doing better. Yeah, the idea is that you're noticing her attraction and it fluctuates. Women are like cats. You can't take it personally. Sometimes, especially when it's that time of the month, she love you to death, and then she might tell you the first couple of days of her period that she hates your guts when you do something. It doesn't mean she really hates your guts, but she's just feeling that in that moment, and so you can't take it personally, no matter what she does or what she gets upset about. Or like one of the things that women tend to do is they tend to use hyperbole. It's like, you always do X. You always do this. I was talking with a close friend of mine this weekend. We were hanging out, and he did something, and his wife was like, "You always do this." He's like, "I've never once done. This is like the only time in the all the decades that we've been together." And he was telling me how he was laughing at her and ripping on her, and it was because he was hanging out and having a good time with his friends, obviously his daughter, and she was back home working and being a mom to their other kid. And so really she was just jealous that he's having a good time without her. And instead of him getting butthurt or mad or being on the phone trying to justify anything, he laughs at her. He's like, "This has never happened." He's like, "You're being ridiculous. You're just jealous that I'm down here having a good time and you're back home with the kids being a mom." Which is understandable, but he had the right attitude about it. It's like he doesn't take it personally. Just like, oh, she's having a bad day. She's pissed off that, me and my daughter are down here having a good time, and she's having to work and be the mom. So it's important to understand that. And when you're centered as a man and your masculinity, it's like you don't let that shit bother you. Instead of being upset, you get amused and you use humor. And eventually what happens is like my friend's case, is that she eventually starts laughing along with him at the ridiculousness of it, or later on she'll apologize, like, "I'm sorry for being a bitch." And that's what's cool. But it's important to act like a man consistently, because you're allowing her to show up and be a bitch at times, which just women are going to be that way at times. And you don't get perturbed or upset either way. You make fun of her, but if she's really nasty and abusive, you just go and do something fun without her. And because the fun bus goes on with or without her, you either want to have a good time or not, because I've personally decided ahead of time that I'm going to have fun. That's the best way to be. So like in this case, like there's a chapter in the book that says women are like cats, men are like dogs. And so they're just like that. One day cats are fickle. Sometimes they're really happy to sit in your lap and purr, and other times they're like, "Get the fuck away, pal. Don't look at me. I don't want anything to do with you." Just don't take it personally. Focus on making yourself happy and smiling, your mission, your purpose, hanging out with people that love and care about you. Don't let your other relationships and hobbies and interests go by the wayside. Take care of yourself. Make sure you go to the gym. Be fit. Be healthy. You don't have to be Mr. Olympia, but 74% of all Americans are either obese or they're overweight. And just watching what you put in your mouth and doing some cardio and some basic weight training exercises, you'll look fit and good, especially as you get older. And, that pays dividends, especially if you like dating younger women. Younger women appreciate older men that are fit and in shape and take care of themselves. Because quite frankly, most people treat their bodies like a garbage dump. So you got to control the controllables, which are the things that you have control over. And so he says, "I'm committed." He says, "But I'm committed to doing better." And so this he's off to a great start. He's read the book 3 times in 5 days. He's already noticed her attitude has changed. And it's a big part of that is because now he's displaying his most attractive side of his personality. Because again, he went through the book 3 times in 5 days. So all those light bulbs go off in his head and he realizes all the things that he's done that have been turning her off. Like in this case, he was not dating and courting her anymore. And he stopped making her feel heard and understood. And even despite the fact that he wasn't making her feel heard and understood, she was still having sex. And he could tell having sex at times when she wasn't that into it. But she was doing it because she loves him. And so that's sweet. That's a good woman will do that. Even though maybe you've been an ass, women also, good women know that, making sure your balls are drained dry will go a long way to to getting what they want or need from you. A lot of women make the mistake of being a bitch and cutting the guy off from sex. And then what's his motivation? If she's being a bitch all the time and she doesn't want to have sex with him, or she's being super difficult about it, and most guys don't know these things, it's, they're causing problems. And as much as this guy's brand new to my work, what I like about the things he's mentioned about his girlfriend is women help you when they like you. And she put up with a lot. She stuck around because she's loyal. Because women that aren't loyal, if he was dating a woman with low character, and I've done plenty of emails over the years where you have that kind of a situation, what those women do is they go and they start hanging out with the guys from work or the single guys from work that like them, or the guy who's just a friend, and lining up a replacement so they can monkey branch. And so this girl, even though things are not ideal in their relationship, she's doing everything she can to try to help him do what he should be doing, or suggesting that what he should be doing, to give her what she needs, to help her needs be met. And like I said, I like this girl. For what I've read, she seems like a good woman. So good on you for making a good choice, because character is destiny. So if you got a question or a challenge you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.